Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Welcome to another episode of One Track Record. I am your host, Shayna, and welcome to the Deception Cassette Tape Side B for the men only. Now, women, don't be all jealous because I gave y'all your own on side A, okay? We're speaking specifically to the men today. And yes, you are welcome to stay. However, no heckling the men. That is the only rule. If you come in peace and act right in the live chat, or else you will be escorted. Okay? Ushers, do your thing. Ushers, aka moderators, do your thing. Now, thank you for coming. Okay? Thank you for hitting the like, for subscribing, and hitting all notifications. Thank you for the comments you guys leave. You guys are amazing. I love my track stars so much. And welcome to the new subscribers. I see within the last month, we've got quite a few new subscribers. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And I also want to thank those who have donated monetarily. I understand that I have said that I'm not doing this for monetary gain. But if you do decide to donate, every little bit helps, and I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Now I got to come back on camera just to thank y'all. Let me tell y'all something. Let me tell you how God works. Yes, this does take quite a bit of money to put together and give you content for each episode and the promotion and all things. But shout outs to my aunt who gave me such a great donation unexpectedly that sis done helped me out for the next couple months. Okay? So thank you. You know who you are, and all names have been hidden to protect the innocent. Because I don't know how many of y'all may be creeps out there. So thank you. I appreciate y'all. I really love y'all. And let's get into today's content, okay? Enough about me and my rambling. I just love y'all so much. Now, some of you may have noticed that I wasn't here last week, and that was only because I was collaborating with someone who you already may know and love, For No Fame. Thank you. That collab was amazing. If you haven't already checked out his content, please do, and subscribe if you like. Now, with all that being said, let's get into today's content for the men. Now, we left off 2 weeks ago speaking about the deception for women, specifically starting from childhood as young girls and then coming of age to develop into women. And for those of you who may be lost, please go back to the Cupid and Psyche episodes for the love language series because you've got some catching up to do. But it's all right because each of us on this channel, like I've said before, we are all going at our own pace when it comes to working on our own track records, myself included. And this is an experiment not just for you guys, but for me too, because the journey of self-discovery and getting it right and ironing out the kinks so that every relationship in your life is successful, including the one with yourself and the Most High, is very important. So let's dig deep, okay? Some of you men that may have heard the Side A episode to the Deception cassette tape, right, have heard me talk about delusion and deception when it comes to women. But let's go ahead and talk about what it would look like for men, right? So, what is delusion? Delusion is the false belief or judgment despite evidence. So, we spoke specifically about Cupid and Psyche and Beauty and the Beast, being that they're inevitably the same story. One is just the adaptation of the other, right? But let's go back to Cupid and Psyche. Now, I spent a lot of time with the women talking about Psyche and her kind of just being a victim of circumstance and also being a survivor somewhat of Stockholm syndrome. Right? And now we went into a bit of that, but that's not for the men today, okay? I don't believe any of you are holding women against their will. And if you are, please seek help. Okay? I'm not a licensed psychiatrist or psychologist, okay? But please seek help. If a woman says no, it means no, okay? If she says maybe, it means no. Anything that doesn't signify yes means no. I want to make that very clear, okay? Don't be a creep. Now, so back to delusion. Some of the men here can understand that in today's society, some men are delusional, but they're also victims of delusional women, right? They believe that they should have a certain man thanks to certain societal pressures, right? But men aren't really allowed to say what they feel about women being delusional. And also, some of them are delusional themselves. So let's talk about that. Whew. So, on top of women being delusional about what society tells them a good man is, right? You also have certain men who have delusions about what society tells them a good woman is or what she looks like, all that. But when's the last time anybody decided to ask a man what he's looking for? We always tend to, ask women what they look for, but men, I don't think you guys are even given the time of day to state how you feel about certain things because you're so worried about people jumping down your throat and attacking you. So we're going to talk about it today. There's delusion. And now let's go to deception. Deception is the act of someone to cause belief in something or things untrue, usually to gain control. Now, some men that are watching right now understand that with Cupid and Psyche, yes, there somewhat was the deception on Cupid's part when it came to him basically getting the panties from Psyche, right? We're all old enough here, But, and I want to make this clear, there was also the deception that was on Cupid's part, where Psyche actually subconsciously, without her really thinking about it too much, kind of gave Cupid the okay to carry on the way he did unseen physically, right? Because you met him unseen, you kind of you incline that you'd like to see who he is He still didn't give you the okay, but you decide to marry him anyway. Sight unseen, like this is Love is Blind. By the way, that can we talk about that at a later time? That show is low-key toxic. But anyway, anyway, so despite her actually not seeing him, he trusted her that she was gonna love him no matter what. Never seen him, but they're in love, right? And trust is something I want to talk about heavily today, because trust and delusion and deception are very heavy for men. In fact, a lot of rooted issues, I feel, as to why men don't want to communicate as much as women push them to, is probably because, baby girl, he don't trust you. You haven't made a safe space for him. What's and this is for the women that are listening, or men, if you want to show this to somebody specifically, but you don't want to be the one to say it because they ain't gonna listen to you, but they'll listen to another girl. Use me. Hi, sis. When was the last time you ever decided to listen to what he's saying, not interrupt him, okay? Not blame him, and just say, you know what? I take accountability. I understand why you'd feel a certain way, even though I didn't intend to make you feel that way. Trust is huge. And if a man doesn't trust you, doesn't matter how beautiful you are, okay? You're going to lose a lot of respect. In fact, one of the things that society as a whole doesn't really talk about is, even when you do get married and maintain a household, not only do men need to trust you, they need to feel at peace in order to trust you. So today we're going to talk about some of the ways that men have not been made comfortable and have not been able to trust women, whether it stems from his mother, other girls that he's dated from his past that have certain qualifications that may show that they're a bit of a narcissist or sociopath. And again, I am not a clinical or licensed psychologist or psychiatrist, but I do my research, and I've had certain experiences in my life. Okay, so let's get into this. So, being that Cupid lost his trust initially for Psyche, right? Where does certain things stem from as far as losing trust? Now, these are some characteristics again. Let's start with gaslighting. Gaslighting is a manipulation tactic used to gain power by making their victim question their sanity or reality. Now, women could argue, as far as Cupid and Psyche, that it seemed as if the major gaslighter was Cupid, right? Because how dare you run out on your pregnant wife because she tried to look to see who you are? Like, she slept with you, never knew what you looked like, but got scared because now she's pregnant and she don't know what's going on. She kind of wants clarity to see who her baby daddy even looks like. You know what I'm saying? But the real major gaslighter of this story was not Cupid. What? We aren't taking away the responsibility that he had to treat Psyche better, right? But the major gaslighter in this story was none other than his mother. How, you may ask? Well, she is the main character here that is constantly not taking her son seriously. Okay, so he's already accustomed to a woman within his family never listening to what he has to say unless it benefits her, never really having to take accountability for anything that she does because she justifies everything she does because she's always right. Okay, she doesn't seem like she's the type to really apologize to her son. So this is already what he might be thinking subconsciously about women. How many of you guys, oh, let me get off this camera. Because I don't want to know. I don't want to feel like I'm judging y'all. But this is serious. Some of you men may be listening to this right now and you could relate. Maybe you had a mother who you didn't really feel was a nurturing, safe space for you. Maybe she didn't provide peace for you. Maybe she gave you hell. And I'm not talking about some of y'all that deserve to be given hell. I'm like the knuckleheads. I'm talking about the ones who were psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, financially abused. Okay? Because yes, I spoke about abuse inside A with women, but men aren't really, we don't talk about enough of the abuse that men have to face. And yes, men can face physical abuse. I have witnessed it. Not like literally as it was happening, because that's crazy. Don't touch nobody I love. But I have witnessed the effects of someone I love dearly, a man, being physically abused by a loved one. Not in my family, but I've seen it. And it happens. I have also dated someone who was abused and as a grown man decided he was never going to tell anybody, but I was a safe space for him to tell. And I ultimately told him, it's not really me that needs to hear it. I appreciate you telling me, but maybe you should talk to the Most High and see if he can give you the comfort that you need. Mm-hmm. So, ladies, this is why I say it's really important for you to provide a man peace so that he's able to trust you. You're wondering why he's acting a certain way. How are you acting towards him? Are you manipulating him? Okay. Are you making him question why everybody's bugging about y'all being together whole time? It's you. You make him question if he's a man or not. You make him question his reality. That's abuse. It's abuse. So, what are the ways in which we can see the examples of gaslighting? Telling blatant lies, denying and refusing to take accountability of wrongdoings, right? Using what you love as ammunition against your partner, and using positive reinforcement for favor of your behavior. So, how many times, right, have you maybe, fellas, experienced somebody that you were dating trying to manipulate you in ways by not taking accountability when it was obvious that they did something wrong? And you, being the man in the relationship, If you were to outwardly say it to anybody else, they would just be like, yo, man up. All right? You gonna be worried about that? Some of you have homeboys that they're just like, man, just get rid of her or just cheat on her. She don't deserve you anyway. That's wrong too. But ultimately, this kind of just stems from having self-respect. If you don't have enough self-respect to set boundaries and to not take people's crap, you're going to continue to deal with that for the rest of your life. But some of you don't even realize that before you even started dating, you already had trust issues. And it takes a real man to acknowledge it and just say, hey, you know what? As beautiful as this woman is, can't date her. I got to work on me, or I got to work on building stronger boundaries because this ain't working out. Right? How many times have you, maybe fellas, dated women that they wore you out so much mentally, emotionally, financially, spiritually, that anytime you just fell for it and just said, all right, I'm going to just give in this one time, see what happens. Now she starts submitting to you all of a sudden. No more arguments. It is 2 weeks and no arguments when you're used to arguing every Wednesday and Friday and Saturday and in the parking lot on Sunday after church. Right? So you figured, oh, well, things will get normal now. She says she's going to work on this, but you back at it again a week later. It's not healthy. And using positive reinforcement to basically have a facade of you being normal, of her being normal, that's not good. It's not going to do you any good in the long run. That's not somebody you should marry. Marry someone and be with someone, men that can take accountability, that knows how to communicate. But ultimately, aside from communicating, marry someone with emotional intelligence, and communication is not enough. There's communication, but then there's also comprehension. That despite whatever you said to her, will she understand where you're coming from? Not even what you said, but where you're coming from. Right? Now let's go into the next. This is heavy. Okay. Love bombing. What is love bombing? Love bombing is a manipulation tactic when someone overwhelms you with affection, gifts, adoration, love to dominate your emotions and behaviors. So, we just spoke about the dangers of gaslighting, right? Love bombing and gaslighting kind of go hand in hand. But how does it go hand in hand, right? Well, let's take a look at examples. Love bombing can look like constant, lavish, or simple gifts unexpectedly, and especially within a short span of meeting. Constant flattery, constant communication, and upset when you ask for space. Told you about them boundaries. Listen, fellas, you might not want to hear it from me, and ladies, if you're listening too, but boundaries is one of those things that you're going to have to work on from the time you come out of your mother's womb to the time you die. Okay? What I need y'all to do is have Black Air Force One energy when it comes to boundaries. It's not shakable. You ready to scrap? Anytime somebody tries to cross that invisible line. You hear me? Straight up. And I know it's easier said than done. Is it going to be easy sometimes and hard sometimes, or hard all the time? Yes. But at the end of the day, you need to love yourself more than you love another person. But ultimately, before loving yourself more before another person, you need to love God more than you love yourself and then another person. Okay? That is the true order of operations when it comes to figuring out this here life and relationships. All types. I hope y'all hearing what I'm saying. Okay? Now let's get back to this. Constant, lavish, or simple gifts, unexpected, especially within a short span of meeting. Fellas, hear me out. You ever been in a relationship, or not even in a relationship, y'all are just in the talking phase, but you're just like, yo, I just met this girl, and I talked to her on the phone for 8 hours, and I'm out here mopping the ceiling and washing my car and rebuilding a computer and cooking in an apron, talking to this girl. She got me doing things I never thought I'd do, right? Everything's going well. You're just amazed by how well this girl is, and she's just so well versed and she's so articulate. And you already thinking of different wedding reception halls. You just start going at 3 a.m., but you're just like, you know what? This the one. Thank you, God. This the one. This my shorty low for life. She's saying everything. She just seems perfect, right? Almost too good to be true because it's only been like 4 days. But she's constantly flattering you because you sent her pictures of your BMW. You sent her pictures of your house. Okay, she wants to text you all day, all night. So you're just like, yo, how can a girl I just met just like me this much? She texts me back fast, all this, which is definitely a red flag for me. Once you hit like age 25 and you talk about I like this girl, she texts fast. 6 flags, not a great adventure, okay? This person probably has nothing going for themselves. They don't have any healthy hobbies, okay? They don't know what a boundary is because anybody who is, I'm sorry to say, but anybody who's up your butt 24/7 more than likely is not happy with the way their lives are going. They don't have any type of identity outside of you or outside of being in a relationship, okay? When it comes down to time when you guys are establishing a relationship and things go cold and you're out of the honeymoon phase and you're starting to tiptoe into another phase of you still being in a relationship but being 2 separate people where you can go out and do things apart and come back and tell each other what happened, yeah, that's not going to happen with them. That's not going to happen with somebody who's going to love bomb you. Sorry, fellas. It's what it is. They're constantly just, oh, he's so cute and he's 6'2" and I'm 5'4". We just gonna have some cute babies and da 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 da. And yeah, I just love him, girl. She don't love you. She telling her friends all about you because I guarantee you she don't got no life. Or she might be what I like to call a hobosexual. Yes, they're out here. Fellas, did y'all know it's hobosexual season? Ladies, if you're listening to this, it's hobosexual season. What is a hobosexual? I'm gonna pretend I'm not talking to y'all. I'm talking to my friend on the phone real quick. A hobosexual is a man or a woman who pretends to date you give you things that you think you need or you may be interested in order to find a place to stay because they have maybe burned their bridges or received an eviction notice. Hence, they are trying to find a place to live and be in a fake relationship before it gets too cold. All right, let me just move on to this next one. Okay. So, fellas, that whole love bombing, again, it's going to happen within a short time span. They're going to overload you, okay? There may be a homosexual, not homo, but hobosexual, okay? Which leads me to my next reason as to why you guys may have trust issues, and it's validated, okay? Your feelings are valid. What is negging? Negging is someone who manipulates you into feeling bad about yourself. Can I come back on camera? Is that all right with y'all? Okay. I don't know if you say yes or no, but I was going to come anyway. This is my show. So, negging is something that females are more so familiar with when it comes to certain types of friendships. Okay. Now, men, I'm not saying that y'all aren't familiar with this because I ain't gonna front. Some of y'all got some hating friends too, but somehow women are just more slick and cunning with the negging. Ooh, let me tell y'all about women, okay? So negging can look like the following: backhanded compliments, comparison to others, sarcasm, false sense of constructive criticism. Now pay attention to when or where it's done. Insults disguised as questions, etc. All right. Let me give y'all some examples because I like to play things out in examples of how it can be relatable in your everyday life. Call me Lori Beth Denberg. Now, backhanded compliments. Let me give y'all an example of how women give backhanded compliments. Oh, girl, that dress is real cute. Oh, thanks, girl. You think so? Yeah, girl. I mean, me personally, if I had your body, I wouldn't have worn it, but it's real cute. Where you get it from? Hmm. All right, that was triggering. Let me move to the next example. Comparison to others. Men, hear me out, right? Have you ever dated somebody who was upset with you, right? And they decided that in the heat of an argument, they were going to spit back an insult to you to make you shut up. Something you may have told them in confidence, right? And then here it comes out, and you're just like, oh, that's how you feel? That's how you feel? Okay. Hi, mamas. Yeah. Be careful of those women. That's negging. Or negging can look like this. Let's say you guys, since it's coming up, right? Let's say you and your girl go to Thanksgiving dinner. And you know your family is super nosy, and they're maybe wondering why you spent so much time at home and you have maybe more time to come see them because before you used to work crazy hours and now your hours have slowed up. That's life. Things happen, no shade in that, right? But you and your girl just got into an argument in the car before dinner started, and Aunt Myrtle decided that she wanted to ask you to decide, oh, I just love my nephew so much. How are you and him doing? Now, the petty in you decides to just be like, you know what? We just not doing so well with finances. I've been trying to get all my money right so that we can go on a little Christmas trip, but since his hours have slowed up, I told him he should get a new job, right? I told you should get a new job. She might even, fellas, the in front of family. She want to do all that. She want to be all extra, right? That's negging. It's a lot easier to identify the things that are wrong in these relationships when you have a terminology and a term to put to it, right? hmm Now, I purposely said pay attention to when or where it's done, because even if it's somewhat the truth of what she's saying, let's say in that scenario, all right, y'all done argued, whatever. You told her your hours is cut. She been told you, you've been unhappy at that job. Why don't you just look for another job? Maybe you have been looking for another job. Yes, that's constructive criticism, but who does it benefit? Doesn't benefit him. Seems like it benefits her when it comes down to arguing and looking like she has something right to say, and she comes out unscathed in this little debacle. Real petty, right? Because here's what I was taught personally. I don't know if any of you understand what I'm about to say. Hopefully you do. Some of you may know where I'm coming from. Gen X and Millennial, step to the front. Gen Z, go sit down. About to learn something real quick. I was taught, right, as a woman, happy spouse, happy house. And I was also told protect in public, correct in private. I said what I said. Anybody who's willing to openly put you on the chopping block as a means to make themselves feel better, that's not your person. And if they're not willing to take accountability and see the error of that, you should probably work on those boundaries a little more, because it's very telling of who you are by what you allow. Now let's go to the next one. Emotional blackmail. So what is emotional blackmail? Placing demands and threatens a victim to get what they want usually has undertones of an ultimatum that is damaging to one's emotions, character, or the ways that others see them. That's loaded, right? So what does that look like? Emotional blackmail looks like a lack of coping methods for the abuser, and they go to drastic measures to threaten you into submitting to their desired result. Boy, oh boy. Fellas, let's talk about it. So, have you ever dated a woman, right? Where, let's say, let's use the example of Thanksgiving dinner again, right? Maybe at the dinner table, after she decides to tell Aunt Myrtle about all of your business ventures and your cut hours and how you refuse to get another job. Y'all finally decide to squash it, talk about it later. Okay. Y'all eating dinner. And because she's already mad at you from a previous argument in the car, she sees a notification on your phone. Right? She sees a notification on your phone that somebody may have text messaged you, and she sees a girl's name. Ooh, her spidey senses is tingling. Oh, she's shaking the table, right? Now you already kind of wound up from the night's events, decide to do the noble thing. To restore peace, what'd you do? You took your phone, you put it face down, right? Now, she's probably the type of petty person to be like, oh, he gonna get a notification from Jessica? And he gonna put it face down on the table? What Jessica got texting and having any type of contact, my man? I heard about a Jessica, but he ain't go too far into depth as to who this Jessica girl is. Right? So she says, give me a phone. So you having the boundaries that you have, that you set, you're just like, no. Because if I'm learning how to trust you, you should learn how to trust me. Fair enough. Right? One would think. Nah, she wants to see the phone. Heard you, mamas. You want to start a problem? You want to start an argument right in front of all the family? It wasn't enough for you to embarrass me in front of Aunt Myrtle, but you gonna do it in front of the kids too? The kids' table is right there at Thanksgiving. You gonna embarrass me in front of everybody? Because you want to know who Jessica is? All right. So he may say, you know what? Let's go ahead and talk about this outside. No, she want to argue in front of everybody about who Jessica is. Give me your phone. And she says, if you don't give me your phone and let me see who Jessica is and go through your phone, we're done. That, my friends, is emotional blackmail. So not only, right, is she giving you an ultimatum to control the way she looks at you ultimately, right? She wants others to feel that you too are a piece of caca, right? In order to get what she wants. And she's demanding you. Anybody who has tendencies to do that, I would have a hard time trusting them too. And you know what I've noticed throughout all of these so far? Because we have one more to go through. But for the most part, all of these are typically done to men who appear as soft-spoken, chill, the ones who are easy-go-lucky, the ones who just want peace, and instead of partying every weekend, the men that seem to go through this are the ones who probably just want to stay at home and play video games. And there's nothing wrong with playing video games. But to what extent are you playing video games? Like, what's the longevity? What are you ignoring by playing video games? All right, let me get off this camera because, again, I'm not trying to judge nobody. I swear I'm not trying to judge nobody. But men, video games are not going to solve the problems in your real life. They're a distraction. They are straight up a means to an end of temporary turmoil. Temporarily, it's going to give you the dopamine and norepinephrine and all the feel-good hormones that you may need. But it's not going to hug you at night. It's not going to necessarily make you feel better in the long run. But what will make you feel better in the long run is identifying the things that you may be going through that nobody asked you about. Because as a man, again, nobody seems to ask men how they feel. It's really a shame. Because when you do tell people how you feel, especially women, they try to discredit you. They try to put their own feelings before yours. And at this point, where is it getting us? Where has that gotten us as a society? What is the benefit, one might say, of men even being in a relationship if women are just not going to listen to that? But men, I'm just here to let you know. It does kind of start with you. And I understand that it's really exhausting trying to date someone who doesn't understand you, who doesn't want to listen to you, who doesn't want to take you seriously when it comes to your wants and needs. I get it. But just like women are encouraged to heal themselves, find themselves, you got to do the same, or else you're going to end up hurting people and bleeding on people that didn't even cut you. Now, I want to talk about this last thing as to why deception and delusion is just so heavy with men in today's society that not only do they have to deal with it, they're victims of it. And I think the only delusion that men have as far as this society is that they feel like they have to be super macho. They have to be amazing all the time. They can never have feelings, break down, cry. They can't express how they, all of that. That delusion of men not being able to feel and have emotions and express them, that's got to stop. You're literally killing yourself. And even if you don't necessarily feel like you have a woman in your life that you can talk to that can help you be at peace with all of what you're feeling, please know that there's family members at least. And if you don't have family and you don't have other women, I mean, I'm reachable. Again, you can go ahead. I can say for the most part, I have spoken to a few of my male track stars, and I'm sure they can tell you how approachable I am. And it's not any funny, sexual, none of that. None of that, right? But it's just good vibes. I want us all to win. Now let's go ahead and talk about this last point here. I want to talk about guilt trips, right? So we all know about guilt tripping. And guilt trips often show up in relationships of all kinds. We have romantic, partnership, friendships, and familial family, where guilt is inflicted to drive a viewpoint. Now, whether you know it or not, we've been talking about all of these. We've been talking about gaslighting, love bombing, all of them, the whole 9 yards, right? Negging, emotional blackmail, and all of this, aside from stemming from your childhood, like I've spoken about with the women about their abuse, physical, emotional, financial, all that. I need the men to understand. Sometimes when you experience abuse of your own, and the trauma is unresolved, that can actually be inflicted on women, whether it be intentional or intentional. Intentional or not intentional. Apologies. And it's kind of our responsibilities as men and as women to leave behind childish ways of thinking, all that pettiness, all of the I need to control and dominate, all of that kind of flies out the window when you stop loving people based on selfish things and you start to love people on how God intended you to love each other. And I say this too because I mentioned inside A the importance of women taking accountability as to the ways that we've upset people around us by not processing our emotions properly. But men also seem to have a hard time processing emotion if in the first place they were never validated. We can't, as women, expect for men to respect us and treat us right if it's not reciprocated. And I really do apologize on behalf of all women if any of you have experienced any type of abuse, whether it be financial, where a woman likes to throw the fact that you're maybe not making as much as them, or you're making the same, but you need to make more. You are more than what you make at your job. You are more than you're giving credit for when it comes to the certain love that you give. Okay? We are all created with a certain purpose, a certain design from the Most High. And what you may lack, okay, there's always room for improvement. And I say that in love. If you know that maybe you're not making the right amount of finances, that still doesn't justify you being abused. And sometimes men just need to feel that they will be loved unconditionally in a society that makes them feel where they lack, they can't be loved. That's not true. Some men can legit have all the money in the world and still be terrible. Some men can have all the money in the world, not know how to talk to people, not know how to treat people. And if there's anything that I've learned from not dating different types of men, because I'll be honest, I haven't dated as much as people thought I have. Like, I've been close to it. I've tried to talk to people, weed them out, all that, which in recent years I've done a very good job. But you can't expect for yourself to trust people when you don't trust yourself either. And I'm not saying that you should solely trust yourself and nobody else. You really just need to trust God. End all be all. Trust God. You shouldn't trust yourself fully. But trust goes with hope, with faith, and hoping and believing that there may be somebody out there for you, right? Who maybe has all the best intentions, who has emotional intelligence, who has communication skills and comprehension skills, who, despite all else, will love you not through just what they say, but how they act towards you and how they treat you in front of other people. That is really the takeaway of all this. And the overall impact of all of these things that I've listed, the gaslighting, the love bombing, the guilt trips, the negging, the emotional blackmail, all of that having to deal with from a woman, especially if you live with her, all that's going to result in is depression, anxiety, poor coping skills. And you know it's really bad when others start to question you about it and you start to defend that person's behaviors against you. Oh, it's not that bad. You know, things will get better. You know, it's better to be this way for the kids. Once you start saying things like that, just pray and ask God for your next move. For real. For real. The only way at that point to go up is to disengage. That's when you have the power to take back your life by giving the ultimatum. Either we go into counseling or baby, you got to wrap it up. Like, it's not going nowhere. You can't have a relationship with yourself in a relationship. Okay, the relationship with yourself should have been established before you got into said relationship. But clearly, since you was going to be in love with yourself anyway, and this person don't love you properly, you might as well call it Splitsville. Easier said than done, right? But again, this all really stems from boundaries. Boundaries is how you start to regain some of the trust that you lost in other people and start trusting yourself more to make better decisions and to love yourself more so you won't have to deal with this anymore. Get off the screen. Woo-cha. But fellas, and I'm going to say it again, sometimes men just need to feel that they will be loved unconditionally in a society that makes them feel that wherever they lack, they can't be loved. And ultimately, before I go, I just want to tell you one thing. There's a huge difference between personality and character. Personality is, in my opinion, how others are going to see the woman that you're with. Okay? Seeing how she connects with people just by meeting them initially. But character is the way to define your woman when, even when you're not with her and she's starting to build a track record with you, it's consistent so that you see certain traits. Personality is, wow, she's really bubbly, she's energetic, but character says, I've been through hard times with her. She's seen me during my ups and downs, and she's consistent. Even on her bad days, she still shows that she loves and respects me. Don't ever get confused just because a person's bubbly and charismatic and good with their words that they're the one for you. Because behind closed doors, and I love to tell people too, you're probably not going to get a good idea of the person you're dating until about 3 to 4 months. Because even if they fake the funk in the beginning, Character is going to be consistent. Personality is not going to be consistent. Mhm. And before we go, I want to talk about one other thing that's been weighing on my heart when it comes to the men. Okay. Now, some of the men who may be listening, and some of the women, if you've managed to make it this far, may relate to what I'm about to say. But as a trauma response of not trusting people, not feeling like you belong, like you're appreciated, especially men, not feeling that you're in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing, you're not living in your purpose, you're just surviving, is a term I just learned called functional freeze, where you shut down. So, what does functional freeze look like? Functional freeze looks like feeling emotionally numb except for the internal overwhelm, right? It looks like living life just going through the emotions, but you're disconnected from your body. You're basically feeling like you're living an outer body experience where it's just like you kind of watch everything that's going on in your life. You're going through the motions. You're not really enjoying anything that you're getting into. You've lost interests. Kind of sounds like depression, right? It's basically functioning depression, or it's moderate. Let's look into more of this. You feel like you're pulling it together enough to appear like you're normal around others, but when you get home, you crash. You just want to go to sleep. You just want to eat your feelings. You don't want to work out anymore. You may procrastinate. Things that you once found enjoyable, you no longer find enjoyment in them. You may be binge watching TV whenever you have free time instead of doing things you actually want to do. Yeah. So if you, as of lately, feel that you have not been yourself, that maybe the people that you live with maybe have seen change within the way you interact with them, but you're not yet ready to voice your concerns because maybe you are hesitant about trusting them because you feel like whatever you may tell them may backfire on you, or it may be belittled, or it might be pushed under somebody else, the weight of somebody else's problems. I'm here to tell you, you might actually benefit from getting therapy. I'm not even trying to be funny. And I say that because the last thing anybody would want is for you to think the inevitable thoughts of ending it all. I know I've been through it where I've been emotionally blackmailed myself. I have told someone things, very intimate things about myself. And they've not only decided to use that against me when I decide to end things, but they themselves have tried to guilt trip me into not wanting to leave them. And the first thing I kind of thought to myself was, this person needs help, not even trying to be funny. But I could tell they've been through so much for so long that once they actually felt comfortable with somebody and somebody brought them peace, they were fighting demons. They were looking for somebody to just validate that they weren't crazy, that they weren't just someone who was supposed to be in a relationship to just provide funds and fun, that they were more than what society has made them feel. Men need their feelings validated. Men need to be trusted more. Not all men are the same. And ultimately, men, if you have trust issues, your only responsibility is to find out where the source of that comes from, where the trouble started. That's your only responsibility. It's not women's responsibility to fix it as much as we love to. Listen, when a woman is in love, she becomes the biggest mom. But you cannot put that responsibility on somebody who you have feelings for or love. You have to take care of that yourself. You're allowed to tell women how you feel, but as far as trust issues, nobody is responsible for solving or helping you out with that but you. You have to do the work first. Others, if they really love you, will tell you the truth and will encourage you to go about handling that in any shape or form that's healthy. Okay? So, love and light and peace to all the men, to all the women that are listening. I thank you for listening. I thank you for watching. Okay? Make the best out of your day. I will see you next week. I won't be revealing what I'm about to do next, but you're in for a surprise. Thank you. This is One Track Record. I am your host, Shayna, and I will see you soon. Bye.